Thank you for listening to the Ascension Network podcast. This is where you'll find daily energetic upgrades to guide you through the intense transformational times we are navigating. Each message dives deeply into the frequencies of human life and gives new perspectives on how to shift them into higher states of being and higher states of global impact. Get full access to daily upgrades, plus monthly pyramid activations, weekly abundance code upgrades, weekly pop-up events, and the community, all within the Ascension Network. Learn more and join us at videttemeyer.com. I'm your host, Vidette Meyer, and as a collective, we are ascending into higher frequencies of being to hold space for all of humanity to ascend into the new earth. Okay, welcome to the Ascension Network. I am Vidette Meyer. I am one of the co-creators of the Ascension Network. And my part of the Ascension Network is really to bring you information, readings, updates on the energetic frequencies of where we are in the world, what we're experiencing, and really tuning into our own frequencies more and more, and working with the outer frequencies that we meet up against every day, or up with every day. And that really is how we navigate life, through the energies of all of it. And right now we are in very, very intense times. There is major transformation going on all over the world, in our collective, in our planet even. So there's a lot of intensity that may be a little bit scary, a little bit confusing for many, including myself. Let's be clear. I don't go through life thinking all the time like, oh, I know exactly what's going on. And because I do, I feel peace all the time. It's not. I do know not exactly what's going on, but I have a pretty good perspective of what's happening energetically in our world. And so it helps me to navigate easier some of the intense energies that I meet in my daily life. So by understanding a little bit more about energy, I want to bring you the opportunity to understand it a little bit more and learn how to work with it, so that we can really maneuver this time and emerge on the other side of it, a transformed person, a transformed soul, someone who has evolved and ascended into a higher level of being. And that's what we're doing here. So today I wanted to check in and do an energy integration session, and really just kind of check in with what is being asked of us as a collective to I couldn't remember if I hit record or not, what we're being asked of as a collective to pay attention to today, to be aware of. And in every day, in every moment, right, quite frankly, there's something for us to be aware of, is something for us, calling to us to pay attention to, because it's an opportunity for growth. And if we don't pay attention to it, we could receive it as an opportunity of, something that's annoying, or something that we just want to, bury, something we want to ignore. And yet when we are faced with those two options, and we choose the option to learn from what is being called to us, then we ascend into a higher level of being with just that one small decision. So that's what we're doing here. When we work with energy, it's kind of really being aware of every moment and understanding, what am I going to do with the energy of this moment? And what is being called for me to notice? Is it the beauty of the birds? I don't know if you can hear the birds outside, but they're just chirping, and it's so beautiful. And for right now, my energy is being called to you to deliver this energy integration session, and with crazy hair, sorry. But also what's being called to me is to notice still that life is, the planet is still thriving. The planet is still doing beautifully. The animals are doing what they're here to do. The birds are doing what they're here to do. And in this time right now of great chaos, what it feels like can be great chaos and confusion, there's still so much beauty around us. And that's really what we're being called to tap into. And yet we have to be really, really aware in intense times like this to notice the beauty around us, versus really noticing and getting attached to the chaos and confusion around us. So I'm just going to kind of pick a card today, excuse me, to give us an overall focus of the energy of the next 24 hours. So no matter when you watch this, it's going to be perfect timing for you. It's going to be exactly the message that you need to hear. So it doesn't really matter what day it is, but but this will be this will be your focus to pay attention to for the rest of this day. And before we got started, I did actually kind of get quiet, call in some guides to guide us through the understanding, the deeper understanding that's being revealed today, as well as sage the area. So I've gotten it so beautifully set up, except for this backdrop. I think it's funny the lamp comes out of my head, but I really wanted these lamps to show. So I'm far from having a perfect setup, and I have a lamp coming out of my head, but who cares? We are here. How beautiful. The awareness today for you to focus on is home. And how does home show up for us? You know, home shows up as our physical homes, the environment that surrounds us. Home shows up in our families. You know, families feel like home. When we arrive home and our family is around, we notice that sense of home. Home is our country. Home is our state. Home is our planet. So home is going to be an interesting topic to explore today because it shows up in so many different ways. And ultimately, what I would like for you to tune into around this topic of home is the energy and the feeling of home. How does that hit you? How does that feel? Now, there's two different scenarios and anything in between that could come up from that. Home, for me, when I think of home, it's like, oh my gosh, it makes me breathe very deeply with solace. I've always said I want my home to be a sanctuary for my soul, and that's what it does feel like. Doesn't mean it always is that. It means that sometimes days are crazy. Sometimes my kids drive me crazy. Sometimes my kids are just being jerks. Sometimes I'm being a jerk. So the home isn't always a sanctuary for my soul, but as an overall feeling, average feeling of my home, it's a sanctuary for my soul. Now, for some, home is not going to be a safe place. So therefore, tune into that. There's obviously energetic distortion there. And if the home is not somewhere where you look forward to going home to, then pay attention. Let's see what else comes up and is revealed in this message, but just be aware of that. And then also tap into what would you love home to feel like? How do you want your country to feel? How do you want your planet to feel? How do you want you to feel when you come home into your physical environment? What do you feel like when you tap into your home, and your spiritual home, your soul, the seat of your soul, which is actually the pineal gland? I always go down here because this is kind of where I feel it. My soul really integrates into my heart space. So whenever I'm getting, intuitive messages or feeling into stuff, it always happens around here for me. So I tend to go here with the seat of the soul talk, but, it's really the seat of the soul is that pineal gland, which is something very much that I'm aware of and really attempting to take care of. And, what I'm eating and eating a little, healthier, but I still indulge. But really watching like fluorides in your toothpaste. That fluoride has scientifically been shown to shut down function of the pineal gland. Drinking lots and lots and lots of water to make sure all like toxins are being flushed out. So our pineal gland is really, when that is open and healthy, it gives us that deeper connection with our soul, and that is our home. We are always home when we are in our soul self. We're not at home when we're in our physical self and we're kind of out here battling the chaos out in the world. Our soul self is right here. And how beautiful it is when you tap into it. And when you tap into it, you know that you are home. So no matter where you are, whether you are in an environment or that you love or an environment that you don't right now, and there's not a whole lot of change that can happen at the moment, remember that your ultimate home is right here, right where you are. And the more we manage our own energies, the more we are tapped into that soul space and that soul self, so we can operate from that place of home every single day. So let's just shuffle some more cards because I love this topic. I think it's quite beautiful, and it's really hitting me. My heart is kind of it's exploding right now. as I talk about home and how it shows up in the external, and it always ends up coming inward. Like what is that for you inwardly? And home is a very, very sacred space for me, and why I have chosen the disciplines that I have in my own life of getting up super, super early so that I can tap into that home space before the rest of the house wakes up and all of that, all the day starts. So to go go deeper into this idea of our awareness being on home today, the inner earth card comes up and it says, you'll survive this, new solutions and beginnings. Wow. This card was, this came up yesterday, actually yesterday's energy reading. So this is really in our, my earbuds just did something funny. I don't know if they shut off. Hopefully you can still hear this. But the same card came up yesterday. So what is really being called to ask of us is to understand that there's going to be some new solutions and beginnings starting for us. That's going to be coming into our reality more and more in the next couple of weeks. How this goes back to home is quite beautiful, because home home may be switching up a little bit. For those of you who, because this is a general energetic reading, for those of you who, heard home and thought, oh, it's not a safe place for me, it's not where I want to be. New solutions could mean that the energy is taking you to a new solution to that. For those of us who do have great homes, for me personally, the new beginnings are beginning. We are in the process of orchestrating a move to a new environment, and quite excited about that. But the interesting thing is the inner earth. What this card is calling us to do is to really be aware of being grounded in your home space. Being inner earth means you are grounded all the way down to the core of that earth, our planet, and your energy is being called to be completely grounded around this idea of home now. That's what's being called for us to discuss, because I do believe now more than ever, with what we have coming energetically, with 2 solar eclipses coming up, the winter solstice, plus the grand conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter coming together, hasn't happened in 20 years. So we've got about 4 weeks of really intense cosmic energies coming, which is going to create a lot of intense manifestations here on our planet, in our reality. And with the political situation being what it is, that's going to heat up quite a bit. We don't know, we're seeing these waves of lockdowns going on, so it's going to be a lot in these next couple of weeks. Therefore, we have to be really grounded somewhere, and we're being called to establish that grounded space for ourselves. Now, if it's your home, for me, it's this home. I'm pretty grounded here, so therefore I feel safe here. And I don't mean like physical safety either. It's just energetic. It's kind of like a hug when you come home. You go out in the world and it's weird, and you're masks and you're grocery shopping, and you're all over, and no one's communing like they used to, and you come home and you take a deep breath. You got to come home to that place that you feel grounded in. So if that's not your physical space, it has to start to be your space that you create within, to open up that channel of home being your centered soul space. And then also, being that we're talking about inner earth, it's also a call to get grounded by being out in the earth, in the planet. Like, rub your hands in the dirt, get your feet in the dirt. I would probably say that almost every call that we ever do. Just be outside, get sunlight. That's all automatically a grounding practice, and will bring you back to that soul home that we talked about, so that you can more clearly pull in solutions if you are looking for a physical home space that you want to upgrade and up level, because you'd feel better having a different home as far as an environment in your life. I'm going to do one more from these cards. Okay, so this one's reversed. Fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposites, extremes. Okay, whoops. So this is a beautiful card right here. And I believe there's a lot of our collective that is really wanting home again. And that's that sense of, I'm going to call it normalcy, but that's a little bit, I don't love that word because our normal as we knew it was not healthy, even though it on paper it looked healthy, but underneath all of everything we were operating in, there was a lot of deception, and it was really, we were a house of cards. That house of cards now is falling. And because it's falling, we are being asked now in these upcoming weeks to really get good with surrendering, zooming ourselves back from what we might be seeing in the world, what we might be seeing in our own homes, the fear that we're experiencing, some anger maybe that we're experiencing. We're being asked to zoom out from all of that. Doesn't mean to bury it. It just means to see it from a higher perspective, from a different perspective, a pulled out perspective, surrender to that moment when you can take a look and say, okay, I can leave that there, and that will sort itself out. Okay, this issue that's causing me to be angry, I have to deal with that. And because you are zoomed out, there's going to be other options that are available to you. Options meaning solutions. But when you're all zoomed in on all the stuff and it's all in your face, you can't see the possibilities. So when you start to kind of get to that point of overwhelm, like I'm seeing all of this stuff and I don't know what to do with it. I'm starting to feel stressed. I don't feel at home, wherever you are, I feel not grounded. That's when it's time to surrender. Get your feet in some dirt, literally. Ground yourself and pull yourself back to that emotion of home. How does that moment feel? Close your eyes and breathe to that moment. Wherever you are, wherever you imagine yourself, you are in that space of home, and that feeling immediately drops everything from your field that's overwhelming you, so that then you can look and you can hold the opposite. And what that's telling us to do is, it might look from logic perspective, it might look a little bit something to fear. It could be something to fear. It could be something to be, make you angry. Could be someone who's pushing your buttons, all of that. When you hold the opposite and hold the truth of that person or of that situation, the truth is really that it's never as bad as we think it is. And I don't mean to diminish that unless it's, very, very tragic loss. When it's everyday stuff, whether it's a conversation or a relationship that's, bugging us to death. And it's typically the anticipation of the conversation that is the worst part. And that conversation isn't always pleasant. When you have to come to get yourself back to a place of home, when you have to move into it and actually deal with the thing that you need to eliminate, the distortion that's distorting you having an overall feeling of home, at that point, then that distortion has to be dealt with. So that might be a person that you have to have a conversation with. It might be a job that you have to change. It might be a physical home that's not working any longer. And it's just, it seems like a big old chore to pack it all up, or it seems like, how am I ever going to do this at this time of the year? It's time to deal with it, because what we identified on yesterday's daily energetic reading was that, quite frankly, those things that we hang on to are going to be magnified in the next few weeks. So those things, meaning those emotions or those issues or those things we kind of want to keep ignoring for a little bit longer, those are going to become really magnified with all of this cosmic energy. It creates a physical change on Earth. our bodies, our everything energetically everything reacts to that change in energy. And then with everything else going on, it's going to be like this tsunami of energy in these next few weeks. So all the things you're holding on to, the conversations you haven't had yet because you dread having them, the job that you really do know you need to change because it's not healthy for you and you know it, and you just keep going to it and being pissed off at it when you're really pissed off at yourself. If there's a situation that's really heavy on your heart, it's going to get heavier unless it's starting to release and dissolve. And it starts to do that by you choosing to address it. And I would recommend addressing it on your own consciously and getting that started rather than waiting for it just to be kind of blown up until to a point where you have to deal with it, because that's what'll happen. It's going to be you choose it or it's going to be in your face. And that way is usually more painful. So I would recommend just getting real courageous, knowing that the fear of it is a lot worse than actually moving through it. And even if it's still a little bit painful, it's temporary. And we are moving into a golden age, into the new year, where things are going to start to resolve themselves faster and faster and faster if you choose it. If you choose to keep looking at what's in front of you, you're going to get stuck behind it. So choose the flow of energy and just say, I'm going to go through it so I can get to the other side of it, and kind of find that flow that's then taking me into 2021. That is going to be there for those who choose the flow rather than to be lost in the chaos of the rapids and, getting taken under and, banged into rocks and stuff. I know that sounds a little dramatic, but it truly is. Strength card keeps coming up. Okay. Wow. We got some big stuff, but we also got a lot of reversals here. So first of all, the King of Pentacles, super chill dude, sitting there looking at, his earthly goods. His companion is sitting here. The King of Pentacles is like the dude who's like, it's the person, it's the individual, just super chill. You're comfortable with your earthly needs being met. You show up, you do. I mean, look at this guy. He's like cool as anything. He's just, he's not clean cut, shaved up corporate guy. He's doing his thing. He's a creative guy. And what's being called here is you are in alignment with this energy of the King of Pentacles. You are in alignment with being that person who just kind of does their thing, sits back, watches as their physical world gives back to them, or is a reflection of their chill sense inside. He does his own creative thing. You do your own creative thing. Because it's reversed, there's some blocks, there's some distortions in that. So basically you're making things harder than it has to be. You're not seeing options because there's a distortion of energy somewhere in there that is causing you to look through a filter that isn't fully you. So when you look through this distortion of energy out into the world, you're not seeing all of the options that are available to you because you're seeing the challenge. And you're like this. So when you start to pull back, then you can see, oh my gosh, there's this option, here and here. This distortion was allowing me only to see this. So we're going to clear that distortion. Whatever it is, we know there's some distortion. Clearing and cleansing that, dropping it out of your field, taking a deep breath and breathing in the clarity and the cleansing of that. Allowing that cleansing to settle into your beingness. Moving into the, as far as home, strength is coming up, and this has been coming up quite a bit, actually. And the interesting thing with when we talk about strength in the sense of home, because remember the whole topic for today is an awareness and raising your awareness of the idea of home. Having strength in who you are as your own home soul is really, really important at this time. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of energy around right, wrong, it's this or that. this is how it should be done. This is how it's always been done. So there's a lot of that kind of chaotic and frenetic energy that feels like predatory sometimes. I mean, and I think of like going on to Facebook, and it's kind of like I go in there tiptoeing in because, as soon as I see all that predatory, and I don't know, if predatory doesn't quite seem like the right word, but there's some like yucky word that's attached to, always having to like be on the watch, looking over your shoulder when you go to Facebook, and who's telling me what to think, and who's telling me what I should think, and who's telling me I'm wrong because I think this is when the strength of home, of who you are, is really being called to your awareness today. Stand firm in who you are. It kind of goes back to the whole grounded thing, the inner earth. You stand firm on that inner earth, that you are who you are, and you have every right to be who you are, as long as who you are is kind to yourself and kind to mankind and kind to our planet. If you're a douche, then like let's start from scratch and kind of find the truth of who you are, which is that you are here. You are a soul that is here on this planet to actually help elevate humanity. So if you've lost that part of you, then if you have, you're not going to be here. None of you that are going to be watching something like this is someone who operates in the douchiness, but we know that exists, and therefore we just hold the space for them to find the truth, find the strength to uncover the home of their own soul and find the truth of who they are and wake up to that. That's what we're waiting for more and more people to say, wait a minute, I'm no longer going to be told what to think. I am going to tap into my inner strength, my inner home, and ask, is this true for me? And decide for yourself. And you hold fast, you hold grounded in that version of you and in that truth. That's really important right now. So don't be dismayed if you go out into the world and people try to change what you think. You don't have to change what they think. You simply have to be called to stand firm with what you believe is your own truth and allow them to have their own truth. And that takes a lot of strength, because we want to prove a lot of people wrong when they're coming at us with untruths, right? That feels so obviously untruthful. And yet we can only say what our truth is and allow them to marinate on that and go and find their own path, just like we go and find our own path. So be very strong with who you are. Then there's something in the consciousness right now that's pulling up the Eight of Swords. And as you can see, this woman's looking in the mirror, and what she's seeing out here is in the mirror is a reflection of herself bound up. So you can see she's kind of free to move around. And yet when she looks in the mirror, she sees a reflection of herself that is bound. So it kind of goes back to this King of Pentacles things, that distortion of energy, where you feel like you're bound up somewhere. That's actually very much an illusion. It's an illusion and it's an illusion that you are seeing that isn't truthful. It's an untruth. So look in your life, and I'm going to contemplate this myself. Where do you feel like you're pent up, you're bound up, like you don't have any options? Someone's holding you hostage. Is there someone or something that is holding you hostage at the moment? And if you say, oh, yes, it's this, or oh, yes, it's that, pull back your perspective and start to really take a look around what that perspective is, because there's something in there that's truly not true. What you are seeing is an untruth, but so when you back up, you'll start to see other options and you'll start to see that. But we've got to clear that distortion of being held or being held hostage. We're going to drop that feeling of hostage or being bound. Allow that to drop out, and then bringing in the timelines simply that have an updated outcome or an updated timeline that you can move to, that takes that distortion of thought out. So then the last two cards, we have the Empress and the Sun. And the Empress is, quite frankly, the creator of all, energetically. She is the opposite of the magician who manipulates the energy to create it, to manifest it. And the Empress is the one who holds space for it. They're the yin and the yang, and they come together to create. And it's such a beautiful, it's a beautiful relationship. So the part of you that's being called is that to be aware of today. Today is that feminine side, that inner empress, the creator and the space holder of all of everything that you want for yourself. Commune with her today. Sit in meditation or take a walk in nature. Journal out what it is your desires are and what you're holding space for. And in that, you'll see that she is, literally carrying the world in her pregnant belly. And that really calls for us as our feminine sides are being asked to come together collectively to say a prayer for our planet, to hold the planet in that same sacred, be a space holder for our planet, because she's kind of wounded at the moment and needs some care. So that's ours, to bring our awareness, to send a blessing out to our planet, and hold it in great space for healing and for thriving. And what we also know is, astrologically, is she's moving into the photon belt right now, that is creating more higher frequencies of energies to be on her. So she's rumbling, she's getting uncomfortable as well. So we're all in this whole process together. And at the end of it, we've got the sun. Be out, of course, like the obvious thing is get out in the sun. We had the earth come up. We've talked about being, in the earth, of the earth, holding awareness for the earth. So be out in the sun today, soak that up. But it's also connecting in with your inner sun, your inner soul, your home, that home space. So what's being called of us today, just from checking in, is really to stop for a second or two today and allow yourself to ground into that feeling of home, then expand out and feel a connection with your physical home, and expand out and feel a connection with your town, with your state, with your country, with your world. Allow that feeling of home to expand, and don't expand out until you feel that soul home, so like pulsating through your body. Then take that feeling out into your home space and bless every part of your home, every corner of it, and then expand it out and bless every part of your town. All of our towns are suffering. All of our, our country is suffering at the moment. There's still so much amazingness that's happening, and yet it's being drowned out by the suffering and the fear. So let's bless every single person that is in that town, and then your country and your planet, and hold that planet just like the Empress does. She holds all of her own dreams within her in that goddess energy, and she also holds the whole entire planet in her consciousness, because that is that is our ultimate home. It's not our ultimate home, but it's our home while we're in this physical world, and we've got to take care of it. So today, concentrate on home. Allow it to settle into every fiber of your being, and allow that feeling of home to help you feel more secure and safe, more loved, more cocooned. This feeling of home is we're being called to it because we are beings of light that just are looking for a home. We feel out of place, and that feeling is within us. And the moment we feel it within us, we will feel it everywhere we go, and we will pass that on. We will feel like home to others. And that is what we're being called today to do. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the Ascension Network. I so appreciate it. If you love this kind of process and would like to go into it further for your own life, if you've got something going on in your own life that you would like to help sort out and help find clarity on, you can go to my website, videttemeyer.com. I do private sessions, and I would love to sit down, and that becomes a collaborative back and forth of the energies. And they are super 90-minute, powerful sessions of clarity, clearing, as well as kind of stepping into your higher self. And they're quite transformational. So I invite you to check those out. Those are the pyramid activation sessions, and you can find those on videttemeyer.com. Thanks for being here, y'all. Thanks again. Bye. I keep saying thanks.